All right, welcome back, everyone. If you haven't been following up with this playlist, I am going to post it in the description below so you can get caught up. Um, as a quick refresher, what we've done so far is we've configured all the routers in Area 10 to be a level 1 on a broadcast segment. And then we configured all the routers in Area 20 to also be in a level 1. And we configured all these adjacencies as point-to-point. So, if we look at router 1, we're going to see the loopbacks for R3 and R4 in our ISIS routing table. And then if we look at router 2, we're going to see 6, 5, and 7. So I'll go ahead and log on just to, again, show you kind of where we are. So router 1, show IP route ISIS. We can see the loopbacks for 3 and 4. Router 2 is going to have a little bit more routes, but IP route ISIS. We have the loopbacks for 5, 6, and 7, and then, some of the transit links between them. So all that's left now to get this network up and running is to configure this link here between router 1 and router 2. Now, as I said before, when you're configuring networks or when you're configuring adjacencies between areas, so inter-area, it has to be a level 2 adjacency. This is where the flexibility and the hierarchy of ISIS kind of work a little bit nicely, however I should be phrasing that. It works a little bit better than OSPF. So if you remember in OSPF, you have to have that area 0. It has to be a contiguous area. All other areas must connect to area 0. And you don't really have any other options. With ISIS, we can design our areas to be way more complex than that. The only thing that has to be contiguous is that we have to have a contiguous level 2. So for example, I could have router 1 being in area 10, connected here with a level 2, and then I could say that router 6, let's say router 6 was in its own area. As long as I had L2 running here, that's fine. And then if router 7 was in area 7, I can have L2 running here, that's fine. So I can have as many areas as I want. They don't need to be connected hub and spoke. They just all need to be in level 2. So what do the areas actually do for us then? Well, the areas are broadcast domains, right? We're trying to limit how many routers share our database. So let's look at router 1 and router 3 over here in area 10. Router 1, show ISIS database. I still have a level 2 database for some reason, but that's okay. In my level 1 database, I have routers 1, router 3, and router 4, right? And if I go to router 3, show ISIS database, I have router 1, router 3, and router 4. So this database I don't want going outside the network. I don't want these LSPs flooding. And I don't know if I mentioned this before. If not, I'll mention it now. LSPs, very similar to LSAs in OSPF. The difference is that instead of having 9 or 10 different types of LSAs, instead we just have an LSP that uses different type length values to advertise different information. So when you think of an area, think of my LSPs, for example, from router 3 are going to go here and here, but they will never go outside of the area. Just like here, router 7, the LSPs are going to go around, but that LSP is never going to leave the area. So area is flooding domain. Level is hierarchy. So they've broken it up. It actually makes things more flexible. So we don't need virtual links, just like in OSPF. We bought out another company and they use OSPF and their area 0 is not really going to work with ours, so we have to create a virtual link. None of that stuff. Just put a level 2 adjacency on there. We're good to go. So as far as the configuration goes, it's actually quite simple, and you're going to notice something pretty cool about level 1 that's like, oh, that's really easy. So let's go to router 1 And I might have already had, let me do a show interface for gig02. I didn't have anything, so I'm wondering if that hold time is just an L2 LSP that just hasn't aged out yet. So anyway, let's go to conft interface gig02, and I'm going to do an IP router ISIS lab, and then I'm just going to make it a ISIS circuit type is going to be level 2 only. Okay? I don't necessarily need to do that, but it just makes things a lot cleaner. So router 2 is going to be the same thing. Conf T, the interface towards 1, IP router ISIS lab, and then the ISIS circuit type is going to be level 2 only. So let's go back to router 1. Let's show ISIS neighbors. And we can see it is router 2. It's a level 2. And we're up and running. So now if I do a show ISIS database, I have my level 2 link state database, but notice that I only have router 1 and router 2 in it. And the other, I don't have any of the other routes from router 1's, from area 20. If I do a show ISIS database, show IP route ISIS, I have all the routes. Okay? So that's kind of weird, right? I don't have it in my database, it doesn't look like, but I have the routes. So this is just like in OSPF with the ABRs. So what's going on is the LSPs, like I said, don't go outside of the area. So let's take a look at just the loopback of router 7, right? So it's a level 1 route. It's going to be level 1 up to router 2. Router 2 then acts as a border router and summarizes all that information and sends it level 2 to R1. And when we're saying summary, it's a summary LSP, just like type 3 in OSPF, a type 3 LSA, right? We don't know the type 1s or type 2s in OSPF. We just summarize and send the summary LSA. So we're still getting the full information. We just don't have the LSPs, so we don't know all, when I say full information, we have all the routes. We don't have all of the link state information. So what about if we keep going? So router 1 knows about router 7's loopback. Does router 3 know about router 7's loopback? Let's find out. We can do another show ISIS database just to be sure. I don't see anything. Show IP route ISIS. No, I don't, but look what I do have. I have a default route that was generated by router 1. So this is kind of the cool thing about ISIS is that a level 1 is essentially a not-so-stubby area. The reason it's a not-so-stubby area is because we could still do redistribution in here. That's not a problem. But router 1 is just summarizing everything into a quad 0 and setting the quad 0 down. Right? If we go to router 2, show IP route ISIS, I see router 3's loopback and router 4, but they're level 2 routes. And if I go to router 7, I should just see a default route. Which I do. Alright, so it's very easy if you know OSPF already, which I'm trying not to do too many comparisons, it's just so easy to compare the two. If you know OSPF already, a level 1 area is essentially a not-so-stubby area. That's it. And more accurately, it would be a totally not-so-stubby area, right? We're not learning anything except the default route. And then the level 2 is just the top of the hierarchy, and you learn everything in there. So it's pretty simple once you think about it that way. Levels is just your hierarchy, and the area is just your flooding domain. On the next video, though, what I want to show you is we're going to do summarization eventually, but in the next video, I want to show you how to do some leaking. right? So what if I want router 3 to know about the loopback of router 7, but I still want it to be in level 1. I don't want to extend level 2 because I could, as a design point, because if you're studying for the CCIE, this is a design thing. I could just extend level 2 here. And then router 3 would know about all the routes. But I don't want to do that. What I want to do is show you how to do route leaking so that we just learn about, router 7's loopback address. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I know levels and areas can kind of be confusing at the start, but that's because we're thinking about them in OSBF terms. When we start just decoupling some of the thoughts where area, I know I've said this about 30 times already, but area is flooding domain, level is hierarchy, then you're done. And just knowing that the level 1 is a totally not so stubby area, we're easy. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one where we're going to go over route leaking between levels.